Today we're going to talk about how I've been beating the broader markets anywhere from 5 to 1 to roughly 10 to 1 over the last 2 months since I started implementing the Equity Scout tool built into my spiritual living app at 3brainliving.com. Now, to be honest, I could have used this as the thumbnail to my YouTube video, and I specifically chose not to, even though I think it would have gotten me more views. And the reason is, I'm not really interested in attracting everybody who's just chasing the almighty dollar. This app is specifically designed for practical spiritual living, which includes investing and includes looking for real value, which is how this actually goes about beating the overall markets. So my hope is that I've attracted those who are interested in living a spiritual life and using investing as a part of that pathway. And so if that resonates with you, then let's jump in. Of course, I have to start by saying this is not financial advice, and I won't even be giving you stock tickers in this video because that's not the point here. Our focus is practical spiritual living. So this will be kind of a rare investment video from me, and will include a discussion of some spiritual ideas. But my view is that practical spiritual living can include investing, and I believe genuine spiritual values can drive highly successful results like those we're going to talk about. For this reason, I have built this research tool into our spiritual living app. So again, it's not financial advice. It is a tool to help you do your own research, but I believe it's a powerful one. And so today I'll explain how that tool is helping me to outpace the markets. The entire purpose of this tool is to find stocks that are out of favor, meaning they're potential bargains. They've come down in value and have a long way back up to their peaks, and they're showing signs of turning around. Then the purpose is to make additional research easy, and I'm going to show you that. And finally, it leaves you with a choice. Does this particular stock align with your interests, and does it align with your values? So you have interests in investing, perhaps certain sectors you see as having greater growth potential than others, and they happen to align with your values. So those are, in my view, how you make something spiritual investing, is that it aligns with your values. Now, I'm going to be honest, it is tricky to invest in anything and ensure that it fully aligns with your values, because there are people running it, and those people may or may not align with your values. And something that seems very good on the surface has a lot of things going on behind the scenes, and it has partnerships with other companies. I can think of a good example where when you invest in certain technologies that you think maybe are beneficial for the future, they might also be used in defense or even offense in terms of war. Even the minerals and things that are used to power, say, our smartphones are also used to power missiles. This is a complex world we live in. And so when you are investing and aligning with your values, we understand that there are no black and whites in this world. And so let's just agree to that and understand that we do our best as we align with values. Now, a big reason for me building this is that there are really expensive services out there, and there are complex tools that let you look at lots and lots of data, but if you're not doing this full time, you might prefer that it be simplified, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to embrace the complexity while making it simple for me to invest. And so over the last couple of years, I've been learning all about the markets and the different data points. And I would find myself looking at various data points and struggling to say, yes, but how do I put them all together? Because these are the ones that are very important to me. How do I put them together? And so I've built this algorithm and this tool that does all of this for me, pulls all these points together, and then simply gives me a stock that fits, that aligns with all of that, and lets me do the research at the push of a button. Now, I'm going to respect your time here. Yes, this is part of my Practical Spiritual Living app, and much of this app is 100% free to use. Okay, but this particular tool in the app is only available to our VIPs. Now, our VIPs have a number of benefits throughout the app, and so this is not the entire thing, but this tool is part of our VIP package, which is $20 a month. So I just want to be upfront before you watch an entire video and just let you know that right now that the cost of VIP membership is $20 a month. Okay, so if you're still with me, then let's dive in further. Spiritual investing. Okay, so why investing in a spiritual living app in the first place? Well, remember Jesus talking about render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. He's acknowledging that we live in this world where you have governments, you have money, you have things that sometimes people like to consider not spiritual. I like to think that they are not yet spiritualized. And that is why we're actually here, is to spiritualize matter, to transform life. And so we're working with the real world around us. Money is part of that world. Jobs are part of that world. Governments are part of that world. And yes, your approach to dealing with those things and making your difference might be resisting in some form. But if you're interested in investing, you probably understand what I'm saying here. On top of that, Caesar's draining you. Now you could work and just earn enough to do paycheck to paycheck. I don't recommend it, but you could do that and avoid having to do anything with extra money. But the moment you have extra money, something is going to happen with it. You're going to stick it under a mattress, you're going to stick it in a bank, you're going to buy some gold and silver, or you're going to buy some property, or you're going to invest in bonds or stocks. You're going to do something with it. If you just stick it under a mattress, Caesar's draining you. And Caesar is draining you because, of course, Caesar prints money. And as Caesar prints money, then what happens is the value of any money you have stashed aside is going down. It can buy less and less because there's more of it. There's less demand for it. So, in my opinion, it is valuable to be investing, at least getting interest through a savings account or through bonds, treasuries. But of course, I also am a fan of investing, at least in part, into the stock market and finding those companies that you find to be a good value and aligned with your values. And of course, the benefit of growing your money is that it can create financial independence and supports your ability to express your purpose. And really, in the 3 Brain Living app, that is one of the most central things of all, which is to find and express your purpose. Why are you here on earth? What are you uniquely poised to do for us all? And I am a big fan of that. So I am a big fan of then being financially successful and being able to do those types of things, which is exactly why I build this spiritual investing tool into the app. As I've said before, really we want to invest in things that align with our values, and this is just another way to say that, which is when you are investing, after you've done your research and you're saying, should I put money into this? In my opinion, the best way to do that is to say, will this company help to unfold the future that I would like to see unfold? And that's how, in my view, we can really make this spiritual investing. And this isn't about money for money's sake. And again, that's why I didn't use a thumbnail in YouTube that specifically showed a 200% compound annual growth rate return. I could have, and I could have honestly. But my goal is not to attract those with a lottery mentality. We don't need more lottery mentality in this world. We need people who are interested in transforming this world for the better and using investing as part of that path. Now, in my opinion, investing requires humility. I think that there's, In sports, you taunt somebody and you end up losing and you look terrible. Well, in investing, guess what? You're going to lose sometimes. You absolutely are. And even if it's just in the short term and you remain committed to something and it turns around eventually and you make money on it, there's nothing more humbling than the ups and downs of markets. No one knows the future. And I can tell you, I follow different investors and newsletters, and you know what? They're all trying to guess what's going to happen next. But when they are their wisest, they admit nobody knows what's coming next. You can lose what you put into anything, and that is not just stocks. Again, you can lose the money you put on your mattress because the government prints more money and makes it worthless. You can buy a car and have something happen to that car. Anything, this world just involves all of that, right? So if you think about it, life involves risk. Or we could shift our perspective and say life involves change. And there's always going to be something different tomorrow than there is today. And sometimes change is what feels risky. Until we learn to let go, trust, and consciously respond rather than just reacting to life. So as we invest in things that we believe are going to make a difference, that we believe can grow, understanding the wisdom to what they say of diversity in our investments. And I wouldn't put everything into the stock market. Maybe you want to keep some cash. Maybe you want to have some gold and silver or buy some property. There's a lot of different ways you can invest your money. And I think diversity is one of the humblest approaches because you're saying, I don't know the future, but there is an element of making wise decisions, as wise as you know how. On that note, my results of beating the market could turn tomorrow. And when you are using this tool, you need to understand that it is a tool and it works in the real world. And there will still be ups and downs. And there could be times when the markets are beating you. All of these tools out there, they want to say that they beat the markets and they promise this and promise that. I think the wise thing is to say this is a powerful tool that can help you more easily invest wisely. That's the approach that I would take in talking about this tool. And the investments I make through this tool, they won't avoid a complete market downturn. If everything goes down, then it is likely some of the things I've invested in will go down as well. And same with anything you invest in. We don't beat out that, but if we are making value investments, which this approach takes, then there's a good chance that they will not go down as far because we've made a good buy opportunity. And that really comes down to it. For me, looking for value rather than chasing trends. So many people are seeing the stocks that are shooting up and they're like, well, I want a piece of that. FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. I want a piece of that. And so they jump after that again with that lottery mentality. Oh, I'm going to make a lot of money now because I see this stock is shooting up. Well, they didn't buy in when it was really low in value. And they didn't get that whole 10x growth. Now they're trying to get the last 2x growth. But at any time that could come crashing back to reality because things don't tend to grow 10x in a year unless they are very early on and somebody got just the right stock. I think this aligns with the whole idea of living your own best value rather than mimicking the lives of others or living to others' expectations. We are all here and offer an extraordinary value if we will live that value. And so I'm a big fan of doing what you are here to do, and again, using money, using investing as a way to support that. So all that said, let's jump into the tool. This particular page, this finance page, is actually something that is free to all users of the app. So if you went and got the app at 3brainliving.com and just created an account, you would have this right away at no cost. For those on our paid account at just $3 a month, you also get additional financial information. Here you can see global liquidity, you can see PPI versus CPI as sort of a leading indicator of inflation. You can see sector rotation in the S&P 500 to know what is falling out of favor and what is coming into favor at any given time over 6 and 3 month and 1 month periods, as well as a 1 week period. So all of these things can help you, but it is our VIPs who get this additional tool. Now, this is a sample account. This is not my particular investment account or anything like that. But there is a tool for tracked investments, and I will have to do an entire video on this at another time. This is another powerful tool for tracking what you do have or what you want to track as a possible future investment, and this can be really powerful as well. But this is a tool for another day, and we are going to focus on what we call the Equity Scout. So this is a daily scanner. It grades U.S. common stocks against 5-factor bargain formula. So we're looking for high probability institutional turnaround opportunities. Stocks that are deeply out of favor, but showing early signs of basing and accumulation. Kind of what I explained earlier. So it runs once each evening after the U.S. markets close. So you're going to get a report daily as long as there are any to report. I have had an instance of about a week one time when there were no new opportunities presenting, but then there are certain days where you're going to have 10 different opportunities show up and that you can investigate from there. So it filters the whole market down to liquid tradable names, that is, those that have enough liquidity and are easily traded. And then survivors of that, making sure that they are liquid and tradable, they are then scored on 5 factors: price dislocation, money flow accumulation, valuation, sector momentum, and balance sheet solvency. And then these are scored on a total of 0 to 10, and only those with a score of 7 or 8 will show up. Typically, I'm only seeing 7s and 8s. I believe I once saw a 9. I've never seen something score a 10 yet, just for what it's worth. The listings stay there for 30 days in case you miss a day and you want to check something that's fairly recent, but as you can imagine, if something is a good bargain, it may well be gone within 30 days. But a listing can appear a second day, a third day, or 30 days later. It can appear again, and sometimes they do. So, as I've always said, this is a research starting point, not financial advice. Do your due diligence, but I will show you how some of that due diligence is built right into the tool. So this is an example of what you would see. Now, of course, over here you would get the ticker and the company name, but again, for right now, I'm focused on how this works and not providing tickers within this video. So these came up actually just on August 7th. You can see these are analyst buy ratings. These are from the sell side, so they're less conservative than the ratings you might see in something like Fidelity. And that's a very good example of where you can go and do your own research as well, where you could say, okay, the sell side typically will give more aggressive buy scores, so let me go check these against some of the analyst ratings within Fidelity and see if I'm still interested in buying something. But you can see the different things that are used to assess whether this is a good opportunity to buy into something. You can see, for example, the trailing price to earnings ratio. Well, these are pretty decent trailing PEs. That's good. Now, this particular stock is about 50% above its 52-week low. So let's see that this stock has been trading between $100 and $200 over the last year. Well, that means that this is at about 148.90 right now. Whereas if this stock had been trading between 100 and 200 over the last year, it's only 3.6% above that low. So this would be trading at 103.6. So on the scale of what is done in the last year, this is actually especially a nice looking bargain because it is barely over its 52-week low. But that's just one of the many things you want to look at. This is a proximity for whether institutions are buying in or, if it's negative, pulling their money out of something. Each one of these has an information icon, so you can click on it and learn what is that all about. Why do we use that? What does it mean? And so then you're going to get your score, and you're going to get all of this information. And if something looks like it could be of interest to you, your next step is to do your research. Now, here's the beautiful thing. All you have to do is click on the ticker, and it will immediately pull up a deep dive into that particular stock. Now, if you're the first person in any given day to click on one of these stocks, it might take a minute or two to pop up. Other than that, if you are not the first, it will pop up right away. It takes a minute or two the first time because it is doing deep research into that stock, and it will provide you with feedback on who are they, what happened, why did investors walk away, what are the bulls saying, what are the bears saying, is there an AI threat or catalyst to this particular stock? As you may know, a lot of software has struggled because of an AI threat, where people think, well, AI is just going to be able to do what that stock or what that software is doing, and so those softwares have struggled with their valuations. Is there any litigation going on? Is there insider selling or even buying, and what to watch next? So this deep dive report will actually give you at a glance, well, it might take a few minutes to read through it because it's a deep report, but without having to go anywhere else and do anything else, you're going to get a good overview of what's going on with this stock. Now, I'm not against you doing additional research, but this is all designed to make it easy for you to have things presented to you as possibilities, to immediately do some research, and from this, at least to know, does this particular type of business align with my interests and my values? If so, you're in a great place to make any final research that you want to do, and then decide if and when you want to do and make any investments. Now, to conclude, I'm going to show you how I actually came up with the numbers that I showed in the opening slide, how I've demonstrated that this can and so far does work very well. So to prove this approach, I made investments in 8 different stocks between June 8th and June 30th, that's 2026 when I'm recording this, just about 2 months ago, starting 2 months ago, based on these Equity Scout tickers and research and choice. That's a key point here. Understand some of these possibilities that Equity Scout brings up, they've fallen for a different reason. They've fallen because they had some really bad quarters. They've made some bad mistakes. They maybe have litigation against them. Maybe they are the buggy whips of today, which is nobody's making them anymore, right? Nobody's buying them anymore. So it may be that they're falling because they're going to fall, and it's not a good choice. And if you decided to buy into it, it would fall anyway. So again, Equity Scout came up with it. I had to do my research and make a choice. So far, that approach has worked well. I then took the markets, S&P, the Dow, and Nasdaq, prices between June 8th and June 30th, and I split the difference because it's really tricky. I can't say that the Dow grew one amount because June 8th and June 9th and June 10th and every day it was at a different amount versus August 7th. So what I did is I simply split the difference. I said, where was it on June 8th and June 30th? I found a middle point. And from that middle point, from June 19th to August 7th, when I did the calculation, there were 49 days. So to project the compound annual growth rate, I had to then multiply by 7.45. So I took the growth that they've had so far from June 19th on average, just using sort of an average for it, and I multiplied by 7.45 to come up with a compound annual growth rate. And I will show you what that looks like in a second. And then I compared it to the compound annual growth rate of the Equity Scout investments. So as you can see here, the mid value for the S&P, the midpoint between its low and its high between June 8th and June 30th was 74.52, and at the close on August 7th it was 77.57, an increase of 4.1%, or if we move that into its compound annual growth rate over the course of a year, it would be returning 34.9%. Now that assumes you continue growing at the same rate, and it won't necessarily. This is just an extrapolation of if things continued as they are, this is the compound annual growth rate. And so you can see the same for the Dow and for the Nasdaq. If we look at Equity Scout itself, however, this approach that I have taken, you can see the investment price and the current price for the various stocks that I invested in to test all of this out. You can see for how many days I've invested in any of them. You can see the total current return and that compound annual growth rate. And if you simply averaged all those CAGRs together, that is, if I had invested the same amount into each one of these and simply was able to average out the compound annual growth rate, I would be at 201.8%. For me, this is a good illustration of what happens when instead of FOMO, instead of just chasing after what everybody is chasing after, you are looking for genuine value. And that's the underlying theme to this investment strategy. So if this looks of interest to you and you understand that this involves a VIP membership at 3brainliving.com, then I invite you to go and check it out. Again, many of the things built into the app are absolutely free, and many do not involve investing. It is about practical spiritual living and being aware of the world around you and strengthening yourself in heart and mind and body. But this tool is part of the overall mix, and I welcome you to check it all out at 3brainliving.com, where you can also learn more about what is in the complete app. Thanks for your time. Hope this was of interest and of use to you.